Hi everyone, it's Cathy Zielske. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I have a galaxy card. Yes, the classic galaxy card made with distress inks because that's what I had, and I thought, you know what? I have an idea and I want to execute it, but I'm not going to lie to you. This took me forever. It took me forever. Now I'm going to speed some of it up, but you should know it took me forever. But let's look at the products, okay? All right. This card was inspired by my Yes You Can set. This is a great encouragement sentiment set. I love this set, and what's cool about this set right now is my coordinating die set has now been released. So you have all these sentiments that are great, and now you can cut some of them out. So some of the bigger sentiments and the butterfly and the feather, they can all be cut out now, and I've been waiting for this die to catch up with the stamps. I'm also going to be using an old set from Fawn just to get a few planets, and I also have the dies as well for those, so I'm going to cut out my planets that will go with my galaxy theme. All right, I'm going to be using distress inks. I've got picked raspberry, spiced marmalade, mustard seed, twisted citron, the wilted violet, and the black soot. Now these are just some bright colors that I thought would work for my galaxy background. Versamark ink and embossing powder, also will be using that today. Got some purple tape. I'm going to be using a wink of Stella pen to add some shine to my card. I've got some liquid adhesive, some brushes and Copics, and I will have everything listed below, the colors that I'm using. Plus this white liquid acrylic ink that I learned about from watching Laura Basson. That's going to help with the stars. I've got a little acrylic block to help apply that. Scissors, foam squares. See, already the card's getting out of hand. There's a lot of things. But for cardstock, I am going to be using watercolor paper by B. This is a really nice paper. And for my cardstock, my base, I'm going to use some Plum Punch from Gina K Designs that I think will work really nicely. And yes, I will be stamping with my MISTI tool today, and I will be doing some free range stamping as well. So I'm getting more confident, but I still rely on the MISTI. So there will be a few other things as we go. It's time to paint. Now I've taped down my B paper to a board just using some of that purple tape. I'm gonna wet it down, mostly because I've seen other people do that first. I'm just being honest. I don't really know what I'm doing. But I am going to just smush down the distress ink, wet it down a little bit, take my brush, and add color. Over time, okay, there's a lot of building up of color I think that you have to do with a project like this. So I'm working in rainbow order to the best of my ability and just smushing down ink, getting it wet, and adding it to the paper. Now, I have a craft mat underneath here, this Tim Holtz or Ranger craft mat, which is really nice for this, and I'm just going to work through the process of laying down the color. Now, I have a set of watercolors, but I like using the distress inks, and this is what I think is so cool about them is that they are super all-purpose. You know, you can use them for a lot of different artsy, craftsy things, and I think this is a great use for them. And I will also tell you that I did a practice card, a sample card, to decide whether or not I was going to show you how to do this. And it's a totally different look every time. So when you're making these galaxies, totally different every time. So in between the layering of color, I'm going to dry it with my heat tool, just so that I can really see what it is that I'm doing. And now I'm just going to come back in and bump up the color. So again, working through with the rainbow, the same process, and layering in more color. I kind of had hoped that the twisted citron would show up a little more, but then I realized, you know, maybe you're just going to really have the orange and the yellow, because that mustard seed is a really great, bright, bold color. And sometimes I think in a galaxy, it's that yellow and orange that come through, and well, to some extent the pink as well, that can really make it pretty. Now, this is looking really pretty, but the thing with the galaxies, and this is where I'm not completely confident in my skill, you just start covering it up. And this too takes layers. So I had to speed this up because I think I'm going to hit this about 4 times. So you just want to get the first layer of black down. And that looks kind of weird. And then you're like, oh, why did I just ruin it? Hit it with the tool. And then it almost becomes like green. Doesn't that have like a green cast? But nope, you know, I'm gonna keep the faith. Get down some more black. And here I was like, whoa, that's just way too dark. So I just dipped my brush back in the water and just sort of spread it around. I did want to have some variation of black. I didn't want it just to be solid black. And honestly, I probably could have stopped here. I probably should have stopped here because that was looking pretty good. But then I thought, no, the sample card that I created, it was all black with just a little color peeking through. So again, you just have to keep playing. You have to keep playing. Now, with watercolors or distress inks, you know, you control them by how much water you put on. So do you want it to be darker? Then put less water on. And that's what I started to do here at the end. Got a little less water and a little more black. And again, I probably could have stopped here. Well, let's see. Heated it up. Let it, see, it's just going on entirely too long. But I thought this started to look pretty good. And then I thought, no, it still looks kind of green to me. So I hit it one more time. Now I could have skipped through all this, but then you would have missed the excitement of laying down this much black soot. I think we can all be thankful that we got to see. You will not get that time back. All right, gonna dry that really well, and now comes the fun part. But it's still dried back. Can you see that? Like it still looks kind of green and chalky, and I think that's kind of cool. But I learned about this white ink from watching Laura Basson, who is a master. And I just put it on the block, and I'm flicking on my Galaxy. And I think I got a little carried away. I could have stopped here, but no, I just kept on flicking. And I even kept on flicking more after I stopped filming, and I had this huge blob that I thought, Cathy, just chill out on the stars. Okay, I've got some Neenah Solar White 110-pound cardstock here, and I'm going to use the Memento Black just because I'm going to do some Copic coloring, and I always do 2 copies just in case I really mess up or make something that looks horrible. It happens quite frequently, actually. And so I've got 2 sets to practice and color, but I wanted to show you my little coconut holder. I'll link that below because I get asked about this sometimes. It's a really great thing for stamped chamois or tidy towels because they don't smell. Well, they smell eventually, but not for a while. Now these colors, okay, RV 69, 19, and 17. This is my proudest moment in Copic marker history, and my history is only about a year and a half at this point with Copic. Well, I digress. I think these look so good together. This is the best coloring I have ever done to date on this particular planet right here. I just want you to know that. So if you're looking for a good purple combo, that's your purple combo. Yellow, I don't blend so well, so I stuck with one color. And now I'm just going to fill in these other planets with some more of that purple combo and then a little bit of the YG03 and 01. And that is actually one of my favorite green combos. I don't have as many greens as I would like, but you know, you can touch the tip of your pen to the other tip of the other pen. Does that make sense? And you can almost create a mid-tone. Learned that from taking an online class at Online Card Classes. Yeah, good stuff there. But those are simple, and once they were colored, I just taped on the coordinating dies and ran them through my Platinum 6 machine. I use a little tape to hold it in place because I'm still not great at getting my dies lined up, and I feel like for me, taping them down even for simple things like this is really important. And you'll see another thing that I have to do later because my die cutting lining up skills is not great. So I'm going to stamp the Yes You Can, and I'm just lining this up on some Simon Black cardstock. I'm going to go ahead and hit this with my embossing magic just because black cardstock really grabs embossing powder. It's probably because I have oily hands. I have no idea, but I think black really grabs it. So you want to have that down to remove the static and the oil so that your powder only sticks where you want it to stick. Now I'm using some Brutus Monroe Alabaster white powder, and I'm shaking that on here, tapping it off, and when I looked at it a little bit more closely, I realized, yeah, we got to get some of the excess off. Even with the embossing magic, it was still sticking in places. So I just take a little paintbrush and brush a lot of it off. But also, and I learned this also from Laura Basson, you can take your craft pick and get in and get rid of all the little fine pieces because it makes a difference. And I'm figuring, you know, I'm already sinking a ridiculous amount of time into this card. What's a few more seconds? Or in this case, I don't even know how much time I spent here, but it took me a while. And let me just say, worth it. Okay, now I can go ahead and heat up my heat tool and heat set this until it is all shiny and melted. And I just think this embossing powder, the Brutus Monroe, it's really white. Like, I think this looks really good. I was going to hit this again and stamp it a second time. Didn't need to. But this is what I need to do sometimes. So I like to cut a template. I just have a Post-it note, cut this out using the coordinating die, and then I line it up over my stamped sentiment because I don't want to mess it up. And when you do this, with the Post-it note, it's great because you can just kind of tack it down. You slide your die back into place and you can feel it. Like it locks into position. Tape it down and then run that through your die cut machine for a perfect cut. I probably could have had the first template cut a little bit better, but I do this a lot because I don't want to go through and restamp. But I've made a lot of mistakes with the die cutting, but the template removes some of the guesswork. So now I'm just going to do a little free range stamping here. I've cut a little strip of the Plum Punch, hitting it with the embossing magic, and then just inking up my little sentiment with some Versamark. And I'm going to go ahead and cover that with white powder and heat set that as well off camera. Or on camera. You know, it's hard to say. This video's gone on so long, I don't even know who I am anymore. But the Galaxy, well, it's pretty good. And the cool thing about the bee paper, it dries pretty flat. I'm really impressed with it. It's a cool paper. You should check it out if you're a collector of watercolor papers. Now I've got my card base scored and folded, and I've already cut this panel off camera, and it fits with a really nice margin of space. And now I'm going to add a piece of fun foam to the back of the panel because I want to pop the whole thing up, and I like fun foam because I just like the even dimension that it gives. And then I'll just use some Lawn Fawn liquid adhesive here to adhere the panel to the card base. And doesn't that look good with the purple? I just thought this Plum Punch from Gina K Designs, it's a really gorgeous plum color. If you want a good purple, I just think it's outstanding. It's a fantastic color. So I'm going to cut my little notch here. Just going to do that freehand. I think that looks good. Looks fine. It's not perfect, but neither am I. Now, foam squares, I am layering all over this. So I've got my sentiment with the foam squares, and I just wanted to place that first. I'm using my little clear T-square. I'm going to glue that down and then just snip off the excess. Probably could have done that sooner, but I think that works. And now I'm just going to arrange everything on here. Got my planets. I'm using different levels of loft in my foam squares. So the Yes You Can has a thicker foam square. The big planet here, that's just going right down onto the card, no dimension at all. This smaller planet up top is using a thin foam square, and then the Saturn-like planet also is on the thicker foam, just to get, there's just a little subtle dimension there as you go around the card. So I like that though. And that's my Galaxy. The finishing touch was just to use a little wink of Stella, just to add a little shimmer to my planets. These planets do come with little faces, but I thought that I would leave them off because this card is potentially going to go to my son when he manages to wake himself up every day for class at college this fall. I'm only joking a little. Anyway, but it adds a little shimmer, and I like that. It's kind of cute, and it makes those great Copic colors just kind of shine. So that is my finished card project. You can kind of see the shine there. Can you see it? Well, yes, you can. Thank you. Anyway, I wanted to show more of this process just because stuff like this takes me a while. I'm not a fast card maker, and I had to speed the heck up out of some of these clips, so don't be discouraged. Galaxies take time. I think that could be said of our actual galaxy. Billions of years. Thank you. All right. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.